Okay. All right. Welcome everyone to Mastermind with Neil Schwartz. Our special guest today is Vicky Blair. Vicky is from Elko, Nevada, correct, Vicky?
That's correct. Small town in the northeast corner of the state of Nevada.
Very small town in a very out of the way kind of place. However, Vicky does an amazing job and has for years. Vicky, we've known each other 20 plus years.
Yes, it's been 21 years that I've been following Mike, and that's where I met you.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, really, really good job. Hey, great stuff. Why don't you take a moment or two and kind of give us the Reader's Digest version of how you got in the business, maybe how long before you met Mike, some of that kind of statistics.
Sure. So I've been in the business for 31 years, and I have 10 years of bad habits before I met Mike Ferry. And so that was tough, kind of undoing a lot of the bad stuff. But I got my real estate license, and my mom was a broker. So I joined her firm back in 1991, and she groomed my sister, KP, and I. And 10 years after that, she retired. We took over the company, and we grew our company. It's a very small town. So I just want you guys to understand. I mean, you know how when you fly into Vegas, there's nothing around for miles and miles. When you come into Elko, there's nothing for 200 miles. So we're kind of on an island all by ourselves. And the market of Elko County that we service is about 40 to 45,000. So we can't just branch out to the next town. So long story short, with how I got into business is mom was a broker. We joined, she retired, we took over. We met Neil and Mike. We learned how to recruit and grow our company. And I think KP, my sister managing, got our company, and there was about 18 agents up to 52 per person production. So we followed the Mike Ferry system. We did that. But then Mike Ferry said he was doing one of those, Neil, you probably remember, and some of the others on, he was doing those CDs that he would give out at the retreats, coaching with the superstars. So in an interview, Mike kept saying, you really need to sell your business. And he had been telling me that for years. So we sold our business to our biggest competitor. So I now work for our biggest competitor since 2009, and I've grown my team inside that business.
Fantastic. Congratulations. So when you took over the company from your mom, how big was it?
I'm going to say she had about 10 agents.
Okay. So how many, in 45,000 people, how many transactions get done in Elko, either homes sold or sides, in a given year?
So in a year, homes sold residential are about, I'm going to say close to 1,000 last year, but we're down as far as closings go year to date this year. So because the inventory had dwindled so far. So we're going to be right at about, I think we're going to be just under 1,000 this year is my guess. And then two sides to every transaction. So near 2,000. And my goal this year is to get 15% market share.
So 15% market share is 300 sides.
With my team.
Got it. Yes. And what'd you do last year?
So we came in right at about 235 sides.
Okay. And how big's the team?
So the team is, so I have my sister's my buyer's agent. She'll do 40 to 45 transactions this year. And then I have two other agents that will do an additional together. They're a brother and sister. He's been with me for 6 years, and she just joined my team last year, and they'll do 62.
Okay.
Then
so
I will do personally. My production goal this year is 140. Last year I did 130.
Got it. You got to tell KP to step it up.
Right? She should be in here.
Huh?
She should be in this on this.
Yeah, she should. I don't know what's going on with that young gal.
She's doing great.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So Did your mom do for sale by owners, expireds? I mean, when she was in the business. So tell me a little bit about the business that you were in for the 10 years prior to meeting Mike.
So the business was after KP and I joined in 91 and 93, she bought a franchise, and it was a Better Homes and Gardens franchise. And she went to their different conferences, and she came back saying we had to farm. And so I was like, well, what's farming? So at that time, when I got my real estate license, I had 2 babies, and I did what she told me to do. So I put my 2 babies in a red wagon and I went door to door. My babies are now 33 and 31, but I went door to door with Better Homes and Gardens magazines because they used to ship them to our company. And so she said, you have to go door to door and you have to talk to all the neighbors and let them know that you're in real estate. So that's what I did. I put my sticker card on each magazine and I went door to door scared to death, but I had 2 kids in a wagon and I figured how mean could they be? So that's where I started, but no good habits, no pre-qualification, no direct phone prospecting, none of those things for 10 years.
And about how much business did you do at that time?
So when I met Mike, 10 years in the business, which was 2001, I was doing about 25 to 30 transactions, but my kids were still pretty small. So I've always worked hard. I just needed somebody how to tell me to work smart, which is what you teach.
Right. So 25, 30 deals, which, back then isn't that bad.
No,
right?
I was still one of the top producers.
Right. So anybody in Elko, Nevada do any more deals than your group?
Not even close.
Right. You probably do is more than most companies.
Probably.
Yeah. You probably do more than 4 or 5 companies put together.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really pay attention to what they're doing. I know for Coldwell Banker, there's about 30 agents, and we'll do 20% of Coldwell Banker business.
20
of our firm. We do 20%.
Your group.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Fantastic. Wow. So, all right, good stuff. So you met Mike and you started getting good habits. So you shifted gears. You learned the Mike Ferry system. You learned to pre-qualify, door knock, phone canvas, what to say, how to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So what were the things that were the most important then that changed things for you in those times the most, let's say?
So in 2001, when I joined coaching, the first thing my coach worked with me on was price reductions, because even though other markets were doing well, we're a gold mining town. So we have one of the world's largest gold producers in our town. So it's a mining town. So gold was at $250 an ounce. And I don't know if you know this, but it's probably around 1900 today.
Yeah.
At $250 an ounce, we had mostly foreclosures and short sales. So I had all these listings. I was carrying 30 listings, but I couldn't sell them because I didn't know to ask pre-qualifying questions. So the first thing we worked on was learning the pre-qualification script. And to this day, I go nowhere without it. That is, if somebody calls and wants to list property, I'm old fashioned. I have a day timer and I've shrunk down. My team has shrunk down. I can pull over on the side of the road and I can pre-qualify no matter where I am. And that was key to begin with. And then I could say, how much do you owe on the property? And they would tell me, and then I would know if they needed to write a check or not. So I would call back and say, hey, we're looking at this. Can you write a check? And if they said no, I probably wasn't going to be their agent. So I learned to pre-qualify and I got super efficient with that in the very beginning. That was number one. And then number two, I got set up on a schedule. And I remember with these little kids, I was still getting up at 4:30 in the morning and I was watching, back then, Tom and Matthew were still with Mike, and I was watching all of these videos and cassettes I was listening to and just pounding all of that information into my head. So it was just a whole different mind shift. But when I went to the retreat and I saw people were making millions of dollars, I'm like, I can work hard. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. So that's how it all came about.
That's good. So you probably make more money as a real estate agent in Elko, Nevada, then maybe the only exception is the president of the mine.
Probably,
Right.
and there's probably some business owners that, make good money, but yeah, I'm sure I make more than most doctors and attorneys and all of that.
Right. So what keeps you motivated? I mean, you own a good amount of property, correct?
I own some property, not a lot, but I own some. Mhm.
Okay. So what keeps you motivated? What keeps you in the game?
It's funny because I think, and Mike always says, because many of you have seen Mike, right? Mike always says you're either born with that drive and it can't be explained. And I think I have part of that, but I also am motivated by family. So I would never want to have to tell my family I couldn't help them or do something for them. So I feel like when my kids were growing up, I didn't have much growing up and I didn't want them to go without. And they're not spoiled, but when I started to make money, I didn't have to say things to them like, money doesn't grow on trees. I actually got them involved at breakfast listening to Earl Nightingale and Mike Ferry DVDs back then. And so they had a whole totally different mindset when and it was a different effect on the entire family when I started following Mike. And now I just can't imagine not having that background. I would not be who I am. I'm so grateful to Mike and all the people like you, Neil, that have, that helped me and still help me. I still have a ton to learn. But that's it in a nutshell, is I always want to do for others. Life is better when I can give. I love giving. And I went to a Tony Robbins event one time and they had, I can't remember, famous singer on stage. And he said, they say money can't buy happiness, but it can when you can give it away, right? So I don't have so much that I'm giving it away to everybody. I'm working on it, right? But it's just amazing that you can give to so many people and serve so many people when you have a little extra. So that's what motivates me.
Helping others. Mm-hmm. And that puts a smile on your face, doesn't it?
Oh,
yeah, I can relate. Absolutely. Good stuff. Very good stuff. So anything you're doing different, interesting or unique in your world that helps set you apart?
Well, I finally got to the point that I could do, and I want to mention that out of my transactions, I do a lot of new construction. So this year, I'll close personally 80 new construction, and I've worked with this builder for 5 years, and then 60 resale is my goal, and that's personal goal, right? So I want to mention that with the times changing, and we're all starting to feel the change. I know we all have this huge opportunity. Everybody on this call today has a huge opportunity in front of them, because I'm sure you guys are feeling the market shift, right? You're seeing the price reductions. We're starting to look at the market stats again. So when you say, what are you doing? The last 6 months, I could feel that there's going to be a shift and a change, because following Mike, it's embedded here. And I'm sure with Neil is, we always got to watch those numbers. When those price reductions happen, the inventory starts to build. That's when we really get to become successful. So everybody on this call today has such a huge opportunity the next couple of years, in my opinion. So with that said, I'm just going back to the basics right now, Neil. I'm going back to, I'm prospecting. I'm doing 20 contacts a day. There were times I've done 40, but Mike says, you just need to be more direct in your prospecting. You need to make those phone calls count. I mostly prospect my past clients because I've built my database. It's up around 1,500. And so that's who I mostly call. But right now, as soon as those expired start to come up, and you guys might be seeing those soon, that's what I'm going to hit next. And for sell by owners, and I'm going to stay on them because most people don't even know what's going on right now in the market. You guys probably do, because you're watching and Neil's watching, the managers are watching. So you have that advantage. This is going to be your time to really make some money, you guys. So going back to the basics, and I wrote down with that, let's see, I wrote a few notes on that. So going back to make sure I'm doing my script practice, because I've been so wishy-washy in the last couple of years, right? I'm just trying to juggle what I had and trying to train and lead my team. But now I'm just going back. I got the team trained. I've got my assistants trained. I feel like it's my time to go back to the basics: role play, mastermind, prospect, go to those Mike Ferry events, and just really stay in it. So mindset staying, super strong is really important right now.
Fantastic. I'm taking notes like crazy here. Thank you. Good stuff. Easier said than done. A number of our agents, well, you and I have been doing this for a long time, longer than we're starting to feel like we could share. However, a number of agents on here right now, a number of agents that are listening on Facebook, haven't been in the business long enough to understand that properties don't normally sell overnight. They, in our career, to get this bid up that has been going on, I've never, I've seen a couple $1,000s and maybe 5,000 or 10,000 maybe, but to see 50 or 100 or $200,000 bid ups, never in my career have I seen it. I've been doing this for 50 years, and you probably feel the same way. Right. So the market's not just changing, not just slowing down. We've had slowdowns before, but we're talking about complete level shift for a number of agents. Any suggestions or thoughts to help keep them in the game and not get frustrated, and maybe to stay close to their clients, to make sure that the clients don't fire them because they don't see the action right now?
Right. So one of the most important things you need to remember when you go on a listing presentation, you must set up the expectation of the market change, because right now we're in that time where you might list in a certain price range and you'll still have multiple offers. You might list in an upper price range where it's like, whoa, the game is changing. You might put something on in the upper end and it's going to sit there. So you must have those conversations with those sellers and set the expectation about, we're going to keep an eye on this market together. And every Thursday afternoon, you're going to get a phone call from me and we're going to look at the feedback together. If that price reduction is needed, we're going to go over that together, because the goal is to get you as much as we can. And we don't want to leave hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table right now. So we need to react quickly if we're not getting the showings, or if we're getting those showings and they're not making offers. The market's going to tell us what we need to do. So that is something I say, I don't care what the market's doing. Every single time on a listing presentation, set up the expectation of what it's going to look like.
Okay, good. So setting expectation for the market change is one thing. Anything else?
So I was doing a role play this morning with one of my Mike Ferry friends in Utah. We role play every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock Pacific. And Matt said they were working on the commission handling objection. And so he gave me his, commission. Will you cut your commissions? No, any other questions? And I said, one of the most important things we can do is, a lot of these people that are selling now, they may not have ever sold a home before. And they think that Vicky's going to take the entire commission when they look at the net sheet. So when you're on the listing presentation, be sure to break that down for them so they understand. So if somebody was going to say, oh my gosh, I see your commission is $30,000, Vicky, or when we go over the net sheet at the listing, they'll say something. If they say anything about the commission, I'll say, now, when's the last time you sold a home? And they'll say, oh, it's been 5-10 years, or we've never sold a home. Well, great. You're probably thinking that Vicky's going to get that $30,000 commission, right? I wish it worked that way. And I wish I was getting paid that $30,000. But what I want to make sure you understand is, when we take the listing, we actually offer out of this commission 2.5% onto the multiple listing service. Coldwell Banker keeps 3.5%. My broker takes her cut. Then I get paid and pay my 4 assistants. So you can see that $30,000 doesn't go directly in my pocket. I don't usually get the objection that they're not going to pay the commission because I break it down. And I think so many agents don't know how to handle that. They just say, no, any other questions? And then it might still come at them. And so you need to just break it down and say, hey, here's how it works, and laugh with it. Make it light. Say, you know, I wish I was getting that $30,000, but that's not how it works. And I think they come to reality much quicker when you break it down.
That's great. Fantastic. Really, really good stuff. Okay. Anything else that we need to be doing as we're shifting gears here?
Just go back to the basics. So I'm waking up on time, the same time every day, which I'm really good at doing that. That's just, but the little tiny things. So I wake up, I get my journal, I write gratitudes, I write intentions. I'm just so thankful to be here and have this opportunity. I mean, really, I don't have a college education. And so to bring in the income that I brought in last year and this year is mind-boggling in this little town. But it's taken me 30 years to get here, right? This just didn't happen overnight. My average commission when I joined Mike was $1,800, right? So it took me years to be able to hire assistants, to really help me with my business because I didn't have a big income, right? Even doing 80 transactions back then, it wasn't big. And I was putting 2 kids through college and, it was tough. So go back to the basics, start getting up, start journaling, start doing those role plays, get your workout, get your breakfast, and then dang, I'm on the phones at 9. I'm on the phone at 9 o'clock, right? So after doing all those things. And then
is that pretty, so you've been doing this a long, long time. Okay. And you're doing 2 or 3, 4 times what the average agent does, which means that you're putting in 2 or 3 or 4 times the effort, and have for years. And we talk about complacency, we talk about getting tired. I don't see any slowdown in you. I see growth and continuation. And I did ask you about, what keeps you going. What do you think is your superpower, Vicky? What's the
So I think it is delegation. Learning the personality styles is critical. If you don't know the personality styles, like Mike says, you are leaving so much money on the table. So I go over personality styles. I even talk to my listing coordinator when I get back to the office after a listing. I'm like, here's the file, right? And I just hand it over. I'm like, quadruple analyticals, both of them. They are going to want you to speak slowly and make sure. So I do a team boot camp every month with my assistants and my agents. And we go over little tiny things, and I make like multiple choice things up. So does anybody have teams on the call here today, Neil?
Have what?
Teams with.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So so I go through, I do a little boot camp every month. We make it fun. We have lunch, just going over the basics of personality styles. Or, I'll give an example of Betty Lou Bick calls in and she's upset because the showing last night, somebody pooped in the toilet, right? And so she's upset. We all go through these things, right? But how they left the house. So I'll be like, do you A, call Vicky? Do you B, call the client? So I'll give all of those different things. So I'm always training leadership within my team with my assistants and agents. So that's great. So delegation, personality, training, and then just trying to stick to my schedule now, really go back to doing what I know got me here.
Vicky, on the days you don't feel like doing it, and I'm sure there's a few, what do you do? Do you lean into allowing that to happen, or do you do your job anyway, or is it a combination of things?
Well, so I've kind of conditioned myself, and I think a lot of people on this call might relate to it that have been in the business for a while and been prospecting. I've conditioned myself, if I don't prospect, I don't feel good, because that was my job for the day. And I've taken on some leadership roles with our board, kind of a I did it for some reasons that I feel are super important. So my time away, not just leading the team and prospecting and going on listings and all of that, is I'm doing some board things. So I just lost my train. What was your question, Neil?
You said if I don't prospect,
If
I don't feel good about myself.
Yeah. So if I don't prospect, I didn't do my job for the day. So for me, it's kind of ingrained. So if something in my life is off kilter, or I'm a little frustrated about something, if I just do my prospecting, I don't know what it is, I just feel better about what I did. So everything from when I got up and I prospected just sets up my day, my mindset, my energy, my focus is all there when I do what I need to do. So there's a little game I played in the beginning when I was a new agent. So I'll share that. So I got myself, and I still have an old calculator, and I know you young kids all use your phone calculator, which you can do. So if you have any type of numbers that what your average contact is for your business. So mine's probably $350 for every contact I make. I would punch into the calculator. I had to do 20 or 30 contacts. Every time I spoke to somebody, I would punch the 350 or the 100, or for some of you, it might be 775 for every contact you make, right? I'd punch that into my calculator and I would just watch the numbers stack up, because that's how much I'm earning, right? I follow the numbers analyzer every single day, so I can see where I'm falling short. So keep track of your numbers. And I actually coach two of the agents on my team every single week, and we go over those numbers so that they can calculate, their average commission. We talk about that. We talk about contacts. We talk about leads. It's just,
Let's see how accurate I am with the numbers. Based on your numbers, I calculated you probably gross about 1.7 million. Am I close?
So with my numbers, my average commission, so do it again. My average commission is $10,000.
Okay. And 140 sides.
Correct. So
okay.
1.4 this year.
Okay.
The goal last year was 1.8.
And okay. So let me just give you guys a picture. In almost everywhere in Southern California, $1.4 million a year is really pretty darn good, okay? You can buy a house and make a living, even in Beverly Hills, California. In Elko, Nevada, you own the town.
It's kind of funny when you say it, because for years I was just trying to get to that million mark, and it happened. And then I remember last year at this time, when the checks were rolling in, I would sit at my desk, and I have a bookkeeper that does all my payroll and all that, but I would sit at my desk and I would start giggling, and I would be cracking up at the checks in my hand going, it's finally happened after 30 years, right? So remember, you new agents, it just takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And if you've been riding the wave and you're making that kind of money now, you better sharpen your skills right now, because it's not going to stay.
Yeah. So we say all the time that we overestimate what we can do in 1 year and way underestimate what can be done in 5 years.
Right.
And when you get to 30 years, you look back and go, whoa.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Vicky, you open for some questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. So questions for Vicky from Elko, Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, has anybody other than Vicky been to Elko, Nevada? Nobody.
If you drive from Reno to Salt Lake City, you have to go right through my town. So if you've done Reno to Salt Lake, you've been to
you've gone through Elko. Okay, well, good. All right, well, that gives us all a starting point. Okay, questions. Rochelle, you have a question? Let's go ahead and speak up.
Hello, everybody. My name is Rochelle. Thank you for having me. I am an agent in California.
Rochelle, you're going to have to speak up a little bit. You're breaking up.
Okay, sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Okay, try it again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So my question is, what's the 1 years ago business?
I can't hear.
Yeah.
I have to
Rochelle,
put it in
you're-
the chat.
Yeah. See if you can put it in the chat for us
No
and we'll
problem.
answer it. Matab, you have a question?
I do. Vicky, thank you so much. That was very enlightening. So I come also from having a baggage of very bad, lot of bad habits.
Mhm.
What would you say the best way is to like go faster into breaking those bad habits?
So the first thing I would ask you is, are you pre-qualifying 100%? Are you doing the Mike Ferry system? And Matab, I know you are. Are you getting up at the same time? I would just really focus on the morning schedule and make sure you're up and you're going and you're on those phones and you're role playing and you're doing all those things. And the other thing, listening to good, like this morning, I was listening to Brian Tracy. Sometimes it's Mike Ferry, sometimes it's Earl Nightingale, sometimes it's another audiobook. When I'm getting ready, I'm putting powerful stuff in my head. So just go back to those basics and you know what you're supposed to do, don't you?
Don't we all? Yeah.
Okay, here's one thing Mike Ferry taught me, because I coached for Mike back in 2005 and 2006. And I remember him saying to all the coaches, there was about 45 of us then. And he said, what are you excited about in your life? Because if you're not excited, you can't be a great leader. If you don't have inspiring goals, you can't be a great leader. You're not going to want to get up and prospect if you don't have things that you're working towards. So for me, is I have a year schedule on the wall in my prospecting home office, and it has all the trips I'm going on this year. Because I'm personally motivated on trips getting out of this town. Because if
Me
I
too.
don't have that, then I'm not excited to prospect. So I've got to keep those trips in front of me of things I'm doing with family and friends and travel and Mike Ferry and all the places I have to go that year. And having that dry erase right in front of me for the whole year keeps me going.
Great
That's a
idea. Yeah, I
great
love
thought.
traveling, so I love it. Thank you.
Great question, Matab. Good answer, Vicky. Rochelle's question was, what's something, and I like this thought, what's something you wish you knew 31 years ago?
I wish I knew who Mike Ferry was, because there's so many great agents that started with him from the get-go. And if you are with a broker like Neil, then you're probably working on the system, and just engross yourself in the system. Right, Neil? Right, Matab? I mean, if you do
100%.
the system, you're going to be more successful. So I wished somebody would have
100%.
introduced me. And I want to say one more thing. I joined Mike Ferry with no money and complete blind faith, because I know how to work my butt off, right? And I knew if somebody told me what to do, I could do it, right? And then I was a single mom, so I really had to get my butt in gear. And so I've always worked so hard. I just work hard. It's just who I am.
You know, Vicky, I all the time how today compared to where we were 30, 40 years ago. Because 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have very many examples at all of agents that did 50, 60, 100 deals. We had one or two top. I mean, when I got in, it's one gal, it was Dodie Donahue. And that was in Huntington Beach. Who did, and she was doing 50 deals. And today,
Wow.
we have so many, of course, you being one of them, of people that we can point to and look at and talk to and get on the phone or hear about, like even today, where it's not as much blind faith anymore. It's like, here it is. If you can't see it today with the example after example after example that we bring to the agents, then I don't know. I don't know how
Just
to
get out. Just get out of the business.
But you know what? Like you said, and Mike says it, I mean, real estate is so simple, but it's so hard. I think that's what he says. And, it is because we are dealing with so much emotion and drama and things that go along with it. But I found that as soon as I started to really generate intentionally calling past clients and doing that, I don't really get involved in a whole lot of drama. I might have to call a seller and go, look, the appraisal's under by 30 and these buyers don't have the cash, right? Because I'm in that kind of market. But I mean, I take it on, I sympathize, I empathize, but I'm to the next one. I'm moving on. I got things I got to do. And it's not that I don't care. I so care, but I can't do a lot about that. The facts are the facts, right? So I just keep moving on. And without the people that I mastermind with every week and the books I read and listen to, and, just having that blind faith and showing up every day. I mean, I can't imagine doing it any other way.
Yeah,
Oh my God, Vicky, you nailed it. It's learning how to be detached from the outcome.
And that was hard for me, you guys, because I didn't have any money. So when I first started, I told you my average commission was $1,800. And I joined coaching. My sister and I did over a phone call. I had never seen Mike. And my sister, I got off of, let's see, what did I do? One of Mike's salespeople called my office, and I love to be sold. And Mike says good salespeople love to be sold. I got off the phone and I went into my sister's office because I'm the idea girl and she was the manager, is what we decided to do when we took it over, because we were just fighting at each other's throat, right? So I'm like, you manage KP, I'll go list and sell property so we can pay the bills. And when we have a profit someday, which we didn't have for 3 years, we'll start to divvy up. And that's what happened. In a few years, we started making a profit and yada, yada. But, in the beginning, it was so scary, but I was motivated by not having anything and the fear of, I got to pay this bill every month. What am I going to do? Right. And it was scary, but I remember thinking, and in my life since then, I have a lot of blind faith. I have a lot of that. And I think when you're not with negative people and you're in an environment that supports you and sets you up, like you guys all have with Neil, you are all so blessed to be with Neil. I know you already know it, but I just have to say it. So lucky. But when you have that kind of leader and that kind of environment, the only reason that you fail is because you just don't want it bad enough.
No, that's
Josie's
very
waving
true.
her hand.
Can
Thank
we
you.
just cut that, Neil, can we cut that last part and just send
Yeah,
it to all of our
Dan,
agents?
We're going to stop right now. I'm kidding.
We're just going to
That was
send that
great.
last part to all of our agents.
We're going to do that. Hey, Josie.
Yes,
So thank you, Vicky. Josie, you have a question or a comment?
I do. Vicky, thank you. I don't know if you remember me. We sat together in a limousine one time. You say that you journal in the morning, and you're not the first agent that we've interviewed that has said that. I mean, most everybody, a lot of you guys, top producers, do. So when did you start doing that? And you said you write your journal. You're grateful for is your intentions.
Yeah. So at the top of my page, I put a G and then I just start going down. And a lot of them are the same thing every day. So I'll say, I'm grateful for my loving family, my loving husband, my amazing team and friends, for the MFO people in my life, for my coaches and Mike, for great sleep last night, for health and energy, for love, for this day and opportunity to serve this community. I mean, oh my gosh, even talking about it, I get goosebumps because I just am so excited. Then the other column is my intentions. MOFI. You guys know what that means? Make others feel important. Mike talked about it. I write MOFI, make others feel important. That's my goal. To be a great listener, because I'm expressive. I need to listen more, right? So I intentionally write to be a great listener, to be an abundance catcher, to be patient and kind. I mean, you asked me, so I'm just giving you what I'm writing. And it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just what I am every day, trying to make sure I don't forget. And when you write, you retain and you feel better. It's like part of my routine every day. It's like going to the gym for my head.
Thank you.
Which
How
I do
long
that
have you-
too.
When did you start doing that?
I bet it's been about 7 or 8 years. And I send it to Meg Middleman, you guys know Meg.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we do.
Meg and I would exchange. We've been exchanging for years. She's amazing.
Good. Thank
That
you
is
so
for sure.
much.
Very, very cool. So Vanessa asked a question in the chat box, Vicky. She starts by saying prospecting can be difficult in door knocking or cold calling by getting a lot of numbers. What keeps you positive to help overcome the no's
Yeah.
and not get discouraged?
Yeah. So Vanessa, so I joined Mike Ferry, and my coach said, and I hadn't been to any events, that I had to learn these scripts. And I'm like, oh, these scripts sound so bad. This is horrible. And then I thought, well, oh my gosh, I better do it. I just committed to $1,000 a month. Okay. So I make my first phone call to my past client, and she answers the phone, and I'm like, hello, Vanessa, this is Vicky, your real estate agent with Coldwell Banker. And I'm just calling today to see if you know. Okay. She said, Vicky, are you reading something? And I said, well, yes, I am. And she goes, what are you doing? I was so mortified and embarrassed. I wanted to die. So I hung up and I thought, I'm not calling another person. And then I went, wait a minute. You're paying $1,000 a month. Your coach is telling you to do this. You better do it. So I think when you get a no, it's just because you're not conditioned to accept it yet, and you feel like you're taking it personal. If you're taking it personal, Vanessa, you're normal, but that's your ego making you feel like they care about you. They don't care about you, Vanessa. They just don't need your services that day. And when you're calling people, you need to intentionally be thinking that you're coming from a place of, how do I help this person? Not what can I get from this person? And when you change your mindset and your thought patterns on that, you will come from a different place. And when you have those scripts internalized, they'll flow like a conversation. So you won't get as many no's. They'll be nicer to you, right? So it's just working on yourself, working on the scripts, and being okay with no. If I think somebody cares that I'm upset because they hung up on me, right? That's my ego thinking they care about me, and they don't. They just don't need real estate help today.
That's right.
It's a great thought, Vicky. Thank you.
I have a question, Neil.
Go ahead.
Okay, Vicky, thank you so much for being in this speaking today. You're so great for being for 31 years. My question to you is this. My question is, how many agents, since it's such a little town, how many agents are there in your area?
There's 175, but remember, we only have 45,000 people in the whole area for hundreds of miles.
Wow. Okay. So really, there's very little competition. However, I'm pretty sure you're dominating the area. So is there a certain area that you dominate, or how does that work for you?
The area is so small, I have to work on the whole area, right? I mean, okay, there's price points where I'm not going to prospect in those areas because I'm not looking for the single wide manufactured home, right? And we have a lot of that, you guys. You don't have it where you live, but we do. So I'm, the whole town is my COI in my mind.
Okay.
I prospect, like if I'm going to get some just listed and just solds, Ben on my team, he'll call around those just listed, just solds. I don't have a mindset that I'm that good. I still have a lot to learn, and I can do a ton more, right?
Okay. There's more for you. That's
There's
great.
definitely more for all of us, everybody on this call.
There's always room for improvement. That's wonderful.
Yes.
All right. And so who do you call aside from your past client and just listed, just sold?
Right now that's what I'm calling, but I'm waiting for the expireds, and I'll call FSBOs when they pop up occasionally and they're starting to come up. But I've really just kind of built that database by planting those seeds. I just call the past clients basically because I've gotten to this point. But for newer agents, you need to call all the sources. And so do I. I just don't have the numbers that you have, right, to call.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Good stuff. Excellent. So I know that we need to have a hard stop here for you. We're going to go forward with some other questions, but Let's unmute yourselves. Please unmute yourselves and let's give Vicky big hand. Great information. Really appreciate it. Woo! All
My
right.
pleasure.
Thank you. Good
Good
job.
word. Very, very good. Vicky, so what we do now, and you're welcome to stay if you can, is we're going to go around the room a little bit for a few minutes and kind of ask everybody what did they learn, kind of post that down there, etc. And Alma, if you wouldn't do me a favor today, I came up with an idea that I want to take the list of what people are learning from it and post it as an added thing for our people, what they got out of this, and we'll have it in writing, okay? So if you could take the notes on that for us, that would be great.
I'll be ready.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Vicky, that was fantastic. Giant stuff. Giant stuff. So I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's go around the room. What did we learn from Vicky today from Elko, Nevada, except that, Vicky, could we come to Elko and do what you do?
You can try it, but you're not going to get very far quickly.
Yeah, exactly.
That was
Oh
the
my
nice,
gosh, that
that
was
was her
ego.
nicest way of saying no.
Yeah,
That was my
exactly.
ego talking. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I try to keep my ego.
go ahead, Neil, try it.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, what else? Okay, what did we learn today? Who wants to go first? Raise your hand or just speak out.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Tess, thank you.
I think for 31 years, I mean, learning and hearing what she's saying, in our business, it is not what we call an instant gratification. You're not going to get this for 2 years, 3 years. With being with Mike for a long time too, it takes time to learn. You got to have your patience, your skill, your discipline, consistency to be competitive too. It's a mindset.
Yes. You know, can I say one thing, Neil, to that? Thank you so much, Tess. I remember going to Mike Ferry, and for years on day 2 at the Superstar Retreat, my sister would be with me and I'd start bawling in the room that afternoon. And she's like, what are you bawling about now? And I say, because I have so much to learn and I have all these bad habits. And I remember I was so frustrated because I couldn't learn it quick enough. And I was like, I thought I was doing good. And then I go to the retreat and go, I don't know Jack, and I'm not doing all this stuff. So it takes time. Tess, thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. You're welcome. You're great. So we're learning from you.
Ah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So good job. All right. What else did you guys learn today?
First of all, Vicky, thank you so much. This was great. And the whole bit you talked about with the changing market and what you have to do and, going further that, but a couple things that I wrote down here that really stood out to me is I love the honesty of people like you, because I make this joke all the time that for those of us that are not newer, but haven't been in the business 31 years, we just assume that Neil Weichel just mails listing contracts to his farm and they all just sign it and send it back. And, because that's all we hear is 200 deals, 200 deals. And you're talking about how, your first call, they asked you, are you reading something? Like, what are you doing? And so and yet here you are making more money, as Neil said, more money than almost anybody except for whoever owns the gold plant in your town. So we all go through it. Everyone goes through it. You just have to put in the work and keep going. So I really love that aspect of it too. And the other thing of the humbleness of, I had totally bad habits for 10 years and you were closing like 30 or 40 deals a year. But that just goes to show for everyone else that I wrote down here is, as you said, hard work. If you just work hard and show up and participate, even if you're not perfect, you can still close business.
Yeah. And that's changed. The hard work has changed for me. So like somebody said, who are you prospecting? Da, da, da. So now I am fortunate enough to have planted the seeds for the past clients in COI, right? So now I reap that. But then, like Mike teaches us, you still have to go after, in my little town, you still have to go after the FSBOs and the expires. And if I don't, it's just because I'm complacent, right? Because I've built this business. But I don't think that I'm so good that I don't have to show up. but I'm working on mastery and I'm working on delegating and having people in place. So someday if I say I want to step away, the systems are huge in here, right? For what my staff does now. And now I just need to keep the great people in there so I can say, you know what, I'm not going to work the month of July. I'm going to go on a vacation or whatever. That's my goal, is to get there.
Oh, I get it. That's great.
All right, good, good, good. Okay, so I had something I learned, and it was you made a comment, Vicky, that if you're not prospecting, you don't feel good about yourself. And if you want to feel good about yourself, you prospect. I have noticed that about myself over the last few years, but I never put together how that logically makes sense for me. If I'm not having a good day, in large part, it's because I didn't get to do the prospecting I'd like to do. If I don't feel good about myself, it's because I don't feel like I've moved the needle or I've helped. If I'm not prospecting, I don't feel good about myself.
Right.
And thank you for kind of clarifying that, because that resonated with me in a very big way. Thank you. Good job. Okay, so let's unmute yourselves. Unmute yourselves. Let's give her a big giant hand.
You. Thank you, guys. It was a privilege to talk to you all today. Thank you, Neil. Thank you,
Oh,
everybody.
thank you. That was great.
Thank you. We're gonna.
Great job, thanks.
Vicky, we posted your contact information in the chat box. So if anybody wants to send you a referral to Elko, they can. And of course, we'll send you a copy of this tape in the next few days. All right?
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Right. Bye.
Bye. Whoa, that was amazing.
Neil, you know how she said she had such blind faith that she signed up for Mike without ever even meeting him?
Yeah.
How do we get our people to do that? Like, how do they get to do what you want them to do without actually coming to see you all the time?
Well, so I'm okay if they see and hear us and take action. I'm okay with that. They don't have to do it blindly. And I'm okay if they go see Mike and they take action. So
What I'm saying is, like, all the agents that aren't here, like, how do
Well,
we get them to have blind faith that whatever we're trying to say is working and they should do it?